In episode 36, Domain 3 Overview, Risk Analysis, we explore how raw lists of risks evolve into actionable insight. Identification tells us what could happen. Analysis tells us what matters most. This stage turns scattered possibilities into structured intelligence by assessing impact, likelihood, and relationships. The purpose is not to create perfect predictions, but to direct limited attention toward what most influences objectives. Analysis converts curiosity into clarity, showing leaders where to focus resources and where to accept uncertainty consciously. In essence, it moves risk management from cataloging to decision-making. The purpose of risk analysis is to prioritize scarce attention. Organizations cannot treat every risk equally. Bandwidth and budget demand focus. By measuring and comparing significance, analysis ensures that leadership effort aligns with consequence, not convenience. It translates a long register into a ranked picture of exposure. This prioritization prevents paralysis by abundance. When every risk looks urgent, nothing truly is. Analysis filters noise from signal so that teams act where they can make the greatest difference. It is less about precision and more about proportionality, knowing which battles matter most. Inputs define the quality of the output. The analysis draws primarily from the risk register, context statements, and data quality assessments. The register provides content. The context explains relevance. Data quality determines confidence. Weak or outdated inputs yield fragile results, no matter how elegant the scoring method. Analysts must review descriptions, assumptions, and triggers before applying metrics. Consistency of data entry, clear cause, scope, and timeframe enables meaningful comparison. Like cooking, the analysis depends less on the recipe than on the ingredients. Good data makes strong decisions. Sloppy data makes stories that collapse under stress. Choosing between qualitative and quantitative analysis depends on purpose and available data. Qualitative analysis uses structured judgment, ranking risks by categories such as high, medium, or low impact and likelihood. It suits early or fast-moving projects where data is limited but expertise is abundant. Quantitative analysis, using simulations, expected value models, or sensitivity analysis, provides numeric depth when sufficient evidence exists. Decision gates clarify when to shift from qualitative screening to quantitative refinement. Neither method is superior universally. Each fits a stage and maturity level. The real mistake is pretending that numbers automatically equal truth. Calibration connects analysis scales to the organization's stated risk appetite. Without alignment, scoring becomes an internal game of numbers detached from policy. A high-impact rating should mean the same across projects, anchored to defined thresholds such as financial loss, schedule delay, or reputational consequence. Calibration workshops build shared understanding, reducing arbitrary scoring. When appetite statements, formal expressions of acceptable risk, tied directly to analysis scales, executives gain confidence that results reflect organizational values, not individual interpretation. Consistent calibration transforms subjective judgment into coherent governance language. Beyond impact and likelihood, consider proximity, detectability, and velocity. Proximity measures how soon a risk could occur. Detectability reflects how easily early signals can be spotted. Velocity describes how quickly consequences unfold once triggered. These modifiers add nuance to ranking. A moderate risk with short proximity and high velocity may deserve priority over a severe risk far in the future. Detectability informs monitoring effort. Unseen risks require stronger control systems. Considering these temporal and sensory factors brings realism to analysis, capturing the dynamic nature of how uncertainty behaves in time. Analysis must also uncover systemic and correlated exposures. Individual risks rarely act alone. They cluster and interact. Correlation means that one event increases the likelihood of another, while systemic exposure means that shared drivers amplify multiple risks simultaneously. For example, budget cuts can degrade training, maintenance, and morale at once. Mapping these relationships transforms a flat register into a network. Visualization tools or dependency matrices help reveal which nodes are critical. Recognizing correlation prevents false comfort. 10 low-rated risks can combine into one significant shock when linked through shared causes. Separating inherent from residual risk provides perspective on progress. Inherent risk represents exposure before controls. Residual risk shows what remains after mitigations. Measuring both clarifies control effectiveness. A high inherent but low residual risk demonstrates strong management. A small gap suggests limited influence from current actions. This comparison informs strategy, whether to invest further, accept status, or redesign controls. Recording both also strengthens auditability, showing that improvement claims rest on evidence rather than assumption. Inherent versus residual is the before and after photograph of risk maturity. Summarizing analysis results means focusing on drivers, not just scores. A table of numbers explains little without interpretation. Analysts must narrate why certain risks dominate, which assumptions drive outcomes, and what interconnections matter most. Highlighting key drivers, dependencies, environmental factors, or decision patterns turns raw scoring into insight. The value lies in explaining what the numbers mean for behavior and planning. A summary that tells the story behind the ranking helps leaders think causally, not merely statistically. Clarity about drivers converts analysis from reporting to reasoning. The ultimate purpose of analysis is to translate results into decision options. Scoring and ranking are inputs to choice: what to mitigate, defer, transfer, or accept. Analysts should present clear options supported by rationale, not raw data. Each option must outline cost, feasibility, and expected change in residual exposure. This connection between measurement and management closes the loop, proving that analysis serves action. Without actionable linkage, analysis becomes decorative math. When decisions trace directly to analytical insight, the discipline earns credibility as a driver of execution. Communication determines whether insight influences action. Numbers persuade some, but stories persuade most. Leading with narrative, context, examples, and implications creates understanding before presenting figures. A well-framed narrative answers three questions: what does this mean? Why does it matter? And what should we do? Only then do charts and scales reinforce the message. Narrative before numbers ensures that data enhances comprehension rather than replacing it. Analysts who can translate complexity into human language become indispensable, bridging technical assessment and executive decision-making. Validation with domain experts protects against false confidence. Every analytical result rests on assumptions about probabilities, correlations, and control performance. Experts closest to operations can confirm or challenge these assumptions with ground truth. Their participation does more than refine accuracy. It builds shared ownership of conclusions. When those responsible for implementation help shape the analysis, trust in the results rises. Validation transforms models into consensus, reducing friction between assessment and action. It is the stage where intellectual honesty meets practical reality. Common pitfalls in analysis include over-reliance on scoring tools, groupthink, anchoring bias, and selective optimism. Countermeasures involve using multiple perspectives, questioning extremes, and testing sensitivity to key assumptions. Rotating facilitators or conducting independent parallel assessments can expose blind spots. Recognizing bias is not about suspicion, but about humility. Analytical rigor means accepting that every framework carries subjectivity. The cure is transparency, documenting reasoning so that others can critique and improve it. Bias unacknowledged is error. Bias disclosed becomes data for better judgment. Analysis must inform action. The work is successful only when decisions change because of it. Domain 3 of the PMI-RMP framework is not about producing reports, it is about shaping behavior. When analysis identifies what matters, aligns with appetite, and reveals systemic drivers, leaders can allocate energy intelligently. Insight without influence is wasted potential. The discipline's power lies in clarity that moves people to act, turning numbers and narratives into direction and direction into measurable improvement in how uncertainty is managed. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.